Hello and welcome to this short video. The purpose of this video is to help you understand the OKR AI-driven coach, which has been designed to help you and the teams review, create OKRs to describe your work plans. You can access this by the link which has been sent to you. It doesn't require any logins or sign-ins. It's just held on a website. So what I'm going to try and do today is actually take you through the creation of an OKR using this tool. But firstly, just to sort of remind you what the purpose of OKRs are, and what they're aimed to do and how they're aimed to help you. So in terms of the template that we've provided everybody, working through that template is designed to make the development of projects clearer, help understand what may work and what may not work within the project, to ultimately give you better project planning, better project review, and better project results. So if we then have a look at the website, I will start just to share that. So here is the website when you load it up. So down the left-hand side, you can download the guide, which again has been circulated. But let me just talk you through that very briefly. So this is the guide. There's an explanation within that in terms of the purpose and the aims of OKRs, and particularly the development specifically for you and your teams. And then it works through that in terms of the overall principles, but then for each of the sections within the template, it gives you a bit more guidance in terms of how you fill those in, what the point in them is, and how they work. And again, that's all there for you. And that can be sent around again if you need it. So in order to use the guide, we'll come on to that. This is the part of the screen where you actually interact with the AI-driven assistant. Down here is just some little indicators and tips and what you can and can't do and how you go about it. What are the things you can use it for? So helping you describe things so they're making sure they're really clear, making sure they're really outcomes focused, making sure things can be measured and demonstrated. And one of the really powerful things is this element here in terms of stress test the logic models. The logic model is a way of understanding that you have four different elements really. You've got the inputs, what goes into the projects, and as a result, you have the outputs. So the outputs are the things that will happen. So in terms of a project, what things will actually happen. But the key bit is you've also got the outcomes. And in a lot of project design, we spend a lot of time looking at the outputs, but often we don't measure the outcomes. So yes, we believe if we do X, then Y is going to happen. And then we focus on all of our efforts on understanding if we've done X. But we forget often to measure or demonstrate the Y actually happened. And within healthcare systems, they're very complex. They've got lots of people and lots of things go wrong, and often cause and effect aren't that simple. And therefore, often, just because we've designed a project and designed an intervention really, really well and co-produced it, doesn't always mean it will get the results, which is great because it means if we are reviewing it using an outcomes focus, we can adapt, amend, and improve things as we go along. There, down here is some example prompts. So prompts are just the questions you talk to it. That may help you in terms of how to interact with it. But it is and easy, and you need to be can be relaxed about it. You just talk to it, and it's conversational. There isn't any special language that you need to use. And just in terms of IG, it's just really clear. There's no persistent memory, so it will remember the conversation that you have, but it will not. As soon as you've finished, and then you start a new one, all of that memory is wiped out. So it doesn't hold on to anything. But obviously, even though it doesn't store anything, there's probably don't use any patient identification data or anything else like that. And therefore, because of all of this, it is in line with sort of NHS IG principles. So that's just your sort of mini guide. So what we're going to do today is actually develop a one in real time. In the spirit of never work with children and animals, we're going to do it live as we speak. So just to give you a bit of background for this one, we ran a session with the mental health commissioning team. In what we were looking at was the development of a specific, we'll show you that, a specific project that come out of that, which was the development of a set of an information set or a data set around case managers within the mental health services to help create greater understanding of the resources, the activity, the outputs, and the outcomes that case managers have. And we had a session with the team where we discussed this, and we put that into an OKR. So again, you've got the same template, so looking at the outcome. So in terms of that, we wanted to make sure that a validated set of indicators which covered quality, volume, impact, effectiveness of their services. The point of that was for them to be able to have greater information about what they're doing and the impact there is, and to allow them to improve how they work with partners, patients, providers, etc. Also, as a sub part of that, it may also help them demonstrate their value and their productivity to other people. We went through the key stages, the difference it might well make. We then looked at the detail in terms of with the areas of the difference that it makes. Why does it matter? What are the key points of it? Why is this important now? And then we looked at the key steps. So once we produced this OKR, as you can see here, we then, as a team, reviewed it again and looked at the detail of what does this actually mean and how would the team actually start to enact this. And as a result of that conversation, we felt that establishing the awareness and organizational engagement was incredibly important. And actually, none of this will work without it, because if we don't establish the engagement with the providers, we won't cross that bridge, because it was very strongly felt that the providers hold on to the data, and despite very good relationships sort of operationally and clinically, as soon as data requests happen within the contract setting, that's when the environment changes. So therefore, the engagement to open those flows, those information flows, was really important. So what we said then, actually, probably what we needed to do was establish a separate OKR just around that awareness engagement. And that's what we're going to try and do now. So back to the tool. To get it started, you click the Let's Get Started button. So new OKR based developed. And you hit enter or send. Now there is a little bit of a delay on this, and that's because this uses the Chat GPT AI engine, if you like. But because we wanted to make sure that you didn't need to log in and sign in, and the memory was held and therefore controlled locally, this is an we set up this format so you can actually access it without having to sign in or link directly to ChatGPT. So what we then want to do, as you can see, could you upload a document or paste it of your existing OKR? What we'll do is, and just quickly, so this was the one we just developed. And again, so that's now uploading, and it's going to read that document, interpret it, analyze it, and then come back. So what it's initially done is, looks like trying to implement comprehensive framework. So that's just an indication that it's read it and it understands. So now what we want to do, so okay. You see, I'm literally just typing, and obviously typing is always very tricky, but even spelling machine, those sort of things that it's pretty good at recognizing what you actually meant. So giving it a little bit of instruction. Again, just taking a little time to have a look, have a think. And while it's grey, yeah, that's the indicator that it's still thinking. We'll come back. There we go. So just said, yeah, that's great. Right, let's start with one come. So what we can ask, given what digital. Yeah. Correct. And again, this is live. I'm doing it. I haven't actually done this before. I have no prompting, no preparation. It's just doing what it is. So then it's come up and gave you a suggestion. So achieve widespread and active engagement across stakeholders, providing them using the validation. So, okay, well, actually, want it probably a bit more enhanced. So because open up data to enable greater. Okay, so that's just a little enhancement that we want to tweak it with, because that's the point in this. The engagement needs to deliver the first step in changing the mindset. So foster effective, so it's now given us a revised one, foster effective engagement amongst providers, enabling a shift towards openness and clarity in data use, ultimately supporting shared decision making and service improvement. That's not bad, I think. um, so next one is kind of what difference. Yep. Yes, let's do that. Now it's going to look at that second stage in terms of what difference this outcome will make. Impact metrics. So are there any metrics? Okay. So now let's see what difference engagement will make. Yep. Again, you can ask it. Google progress impact. You can come on to the metrics afterwards. And you will have to excuse my typing. But as you can see, generally it makes sense of it. Okay, so therefore it's come up with this solution. So increased understanding providers, yeah, deep understanding, enhanced collaboration, cultural shift, informed decision. And again, that looks pretty good to me. So what we can do is also, as we go and we're kind of happy with it, what I've got is on my other screen over here, is the blank template that you should all have. So what we're going to do is, as we're happy with that, so we can scroll back up all the time, is to simply copy and paste into that template. So if we then go down, okay, so we're probably pretty happy with that. Let's have a little think. And one part of this is, as you can see, really powerful in helping you quickly describe an initial set of descriptions in terms of the key elements to the OKRs. It doesn't replace the sort of interaction as a team, because part of the point in OKRs, it's a tool to create environments for teams to effectively contribute, challenge, make things better. So again, it's not about perfection. This is about creating something that will help team creativity as fast as possible. I think it's something cultural shift, change in mindset, informed decision making. So let's just have a little think. I think there's probably something about an indication of a new time. So can we add in that signal? Changes. So it's a bit more than because everything's changing, everything's going, but actually this is a strong signal that this is an opportunity to reset, change, evolve our relationship. So that's probably something quite important to move and put in there. So again, it's reading that, having a little think, and then so that's added that in. So for me, the purpose of today, that's very good. So we can just take that, add that in. So that's locked in. We can then, it's asking in the next stage, okay, let's do that. Again, having a little think. And what this is useful for is just to give you some metrics. Now, you need to obviously determine and have control of the exact percentages and numbers, and some of these will be too much for this. And again, these are the metrics of the outputs. So these are determining whether this is actually going to happen. As in it's not necessarily always the metrics of what the impact of the outcomes were. There you go. So again, that gives you some nice little set in terms of those metrics, which we can then add in to that. Sorry. And then therefore review as a team, but it just gives you that starting point, which you can then, I'm not going to spend too much time on that because I don't know how much it's going to do, but again, it gives you that neat, fast concentration of the conversation. Okay, let's have a look. So why this matters is the next bit. Okay, to the next step. So let's move to why. So we're just progressing through that template. Let's have a look. So now I'm producing wise man. So the impatient is critical because so enhancing quality of care. So the awareness is a going signal, reducing silos. We want to increase engagement, increase that collective working, strategic alignment, NHS goal. That's brilliant. As they're moving, trust and collaboration, which is really important, and adaptability and proactive. And then probably what we all do want to do, can we add in a bit about this being the foundation for wider project data and those and the so that's now doing it. No, so that's this data down. So there we go. That gives you those points. So that's we can just take that. Lock that into the template. Okay, so then as we can next do we want to have a look at right? You suggest the vital steps we need to take to achieve this. I'm not stupid. I'm just chatting. Izzy, can you shut up, please? Okay, so now that's produced a set of steps that we can have a look at and think about and so buy. So let's have a look. Initial launch, target communication materials, yeah. Engage stakeholders early, design, deliver training sessions. I'm not sure we need training at this point because what we're doing is engagement. Foster a collaborative environment. Develop and implement data sharing framework, monitor and evaluate progress. Okay, so these are all key obvious steps. I think one of the key bits for this, actually, before that, is to really describe the purpose of why we're doing this. What is the ultimate ambition? So what we can, so maybe we can add that in. I think that operatives. So again, we just want to refine it, enhance it, start again. Um, this is the thing. This is how you just generally kind of interact with it to evolve something, develop it for sharing and further discussion. Yeah. So that's then added in this kind of section here, clear and compelling narrative, and that's exactly what we want. Is that key element of that secure organizational buy-in. Um, so that's about targeting. So maybe actually what we want to do is target, develop a to identify key stakeholders. Which you start with, i.e., picking up the phone, having a chat with, to then build to the organization. So if you then ask these sort of questions, so you can tell it, oh, do you need to know anything more? Before moving on to this, is there anything, before answering this, is there anything else you need to know? If you give it this sort of what do you think, then you're inviting it to actually provide and challenge and help you create that before it just adds it in. So we'll have a look what that does. So yeah, absolutely. Keystone is a crucial step building momentum as well. And again, now we're creating something that's got a flow to it. So we're actually saying, okay, it's not just about sending letters out and then going engaging, it's building this engagement up. So craft, define the message, perfect. Identify key stakeholders and champions. So these are those individuals that we know that if we can, through our existing relationships, we can pick up the phone or talk to them about it. Now we've got that core messaging, we can build that up. And then we move to secure organizational buy-in. Then we build up in terms of wider engagement. Then do we think about communication strategies? Do we need conduct awareness trainings or co-production events, etc., etc. So then you got those details. Now that will be further for you as a team to develop, but you can see how fairly quickly we've begun to build those key steps, which you can work up, develop, challenge. But what this does is help you get to a point where you've got something meaningful that it can actually be worked up. So what we might then do is think about the other Kelly, but so what are the key Oh yeah, I mean, asking it to have a look, it knows what we've tried to do, and because it also has got that initial OKR, we know that it's got sort of a bit more background. Plus, this has got some background information about NHS, about the things we want to do, about the working and all of that. So it is knowledgeable. It's been programmed, if you like, educated. So what's it produced? Key dependency. So yeah, executive leadership sponsorship. Well, that's the core part. Stakeholder willingness, data access, interest rate. So yeah, this is, we're not going too much into the actual project, but when we do this engagement piece, having awareness of some of these key dependencies is going to be helpful. So again, it's providing you with thoughts. It's providing you with things to consider. It's not suggesting everything's right and you may need to add to this. But again, you've then got a whole list of dependencies that may or may not be of use to you. And again, that gives you something for the teams to look at for you to work together. So again, well, we can just take that. That in. And then we can ask, can you help describe what our role is? And again, it kind of knows about the teams, it knows about the approaches to commissioning that you have. So it has some background knowledge. Should be in this project. How many rock here? We don't have armies of people. Yeah. And again, it's giving you a whole set of suggestions that you can review. I'm not going to do that now because obviously I want to keep this video fairly short and help you understand. So you can see those with leadership, facilitation, engagement, building this, all of those things that you're probably very familiar with. So we can put that again in there. What we won't do at this stage really is to go too much into obviously quarterly key steps, because what you need to do now is take this OKR and work with others. What we might do though is have a quick look at this logic model. So if we go down here, we can look at the logic module. Can you analyze what using the logic model approach? Then this looks at what we've done and looks at it at a slightly different angle in terms of these four parts of what is called a logic model. And again, in the guide, we put a bit more about that and why that is useful and how that approach works. So there we go. So the logic model uses these things. So the inputs is basically what we've got. Activities is the stuff we're going to do. The outputs is the impact in terms of what's going to happen as a result of those activities, and then the outcomes is the wider difference that the project's going to make. So that again gives you a framing another way that you can then add in and share with the team to sort of make sure that if we do X, do we actually think Y is going to happen? Because X sounds like a good thing, but does it actually make a difference that we want to make? And that helps you then look at that in that different way. So within that period of time we've been doing it, not too long, we've now produced an initial OKR for the engagement piece for this important project around case managers. Again, what we've done is produce something that is a facilitation tool for a wider conversation within the team, so we can look at it, challenge it, evolve it, make sure everybody buys into it. But what it does is, within a fairly short time, take from a blank sheet of paper into an OKR that you can then send to your teammates for further debate, discussion, but you've got a useful framework for that to happen. So that has been a fairly brief example of how you use the tool, how it can facilitate the team conversations, how you can start from, in essence, a blank piece of paper and build up fairly quickly into something that is a useful tool that facilitates those conversations to make your plans better and to make the reviews of projects better and therefore the outcomes of the projects better. And it also does it in a way that we can then share across teams. So using these OKR template for this, we can quite easily share that with the quality teams or the acute teams, and that helps stimulate greater interest, greater knowledge, and potentially contribution from others for a better project. So hopefully that has been useful. And if you do have any other questions or need any support, then simply let me know. Enjoy. Thank you.